SHAMESIDE, located on Bank Street, the location of the town of Ashton-under-Lyne, outside the former Tameside radio station, whereby Adrian Trudgeon is supposedly going to get dragged out of the studio by the heavies, where they were growing drugs upstairs that they actually didn't know nothing about. So is this place totally empty now or what? Followed by, on the observance, the microwave beam camera on the bracket with the disconnected camera possibly removed. So you notice the microwave beam bracket up here, see up there, look, the microwave beam bracket going over to Harrop Edge. See the microwave beam bracket on the U-shaped square bracket? That signal then goes over to Harrop Edge, doesn't it? Obviously. That's how they get the signal out of the stupid radio station, isn't it? Oh look, a dipole area or a digital TV area. I wonder where that connects to. That must be somebody's home address. Followed by a single strand telephone wire afterwards. Wired to another wire afterwards over here. I wonder where that goes to. That's very interesting though, isn't it? That looks a bit silly, doesn't it? Oh, look at a cobbled roadway. So why they specifically left a cobbled roadway? What was going on here about 150, 200 years ago? Nobody's supposed to know though, are they, obviously? So notice the place boarded up and gone to rack and ruin with all issues completely not understood. And the small prison cell rooms as well. And if anybody lives upstairs, the windows are wide open upstairs. Are they still growing drugs upstairs or what? Well, nobody's supposed to know, are they, obviously? Wonder what else I can find out. Oh look, the yellow police video camera unit van's missing here though, isn't it? The Greater Manchester Police yellow video camera unit's missing here though, isn't it? That was parked in this position several years ago. I wonder what it's parked in this position for. So panning around here slowly, looking at this. That's the actual backward doorway to get into the place. I wonder if it's got a metal panel doors actually locked on the actual doorway now at least. Right, there's actually cars here in this car park. That's rather interesting, isn't it? A metal panel door, that's how they can get into the reverse of the building, isn't it? So look, they get into the reverse of the building by what is now replaced with metal panel doors, which was just formerly wooden doors before. That's how they would get into the building from the back. So now it's been barricaded in with metal panel doors and intercom, so nobody can break in. So where's it gone to afterwards? So look at these cars in the car park here, and who owns all these cars here? Look, these are somewhat pricey cars, aren't they? Obviously. I wonder what all these cars are doing here. Are these supposed to be for Cavendish Mill residents or what? Nobody's to know though, are they? Obviously. Look, as you can see here, I wonder who actually owns it. This is rather suspicious, isn't it? It's got the police graphics on, hasn't it? Look at this. There's one more car remaining on the top of the. I wonder actually this here, this Octavia Skoda, I wonder who actually owns that. That must be the residents. And look over here, the actual. There's no proper security in the car park as they park the cars, followed by the actual railings missing and snapped. It's gone to rack and ruin though, hasn't it? Look, even a dump sofa over there afterwards. This certainly isn't getting reported though. This certainly isn't getting reported though, is it? Why have they left the 150-year-old cobble road still there afterwards? What was going on before? Nobody's to know, obviously. This is ever so interesting, isn't it? I wonder who he's supposed to be. So I'm walking about now and he actually decides to walk back to his car and watch me with a slightly red face. I wonder who he's supposed to be. So as I'm walking about, he decides to walk towards his expensive car with a rather red face. So who's he supposed to be? So over here, on this thing over here forwardly, there was a camera system a lot of years ago on the bracket, followed by wires going up to it. So how on earth did they manage to beam the signal over to Harry Edge? So I wonder what he's supposed to be doing over here. I wonder what happens over here. Oh look, it's got an arrow. Tameside Reporter, Glossop Chronicle, followed by Quest Media. I wonder what's going on here. This is ever so interesting, isn't it? I suppose they got new charter. It's no longer new charter, it's jigsaw. So it's got a controlled influence now of new charter and now jigsaw. Oh look, it's got a cheap camera system on the wall here. I wonder what's happening here. This is ever so interesting, isn't it? What's this supposed to be? Is it a radio detector to see if anybody's walking nearby? What's that supposed to be? GDX is a manufacturing company. What's that? Look, a key fob. So what's there a key fob to and it followed by an intercom? That's not even wired up responsible, is it? I wonder what that connects to. What, they've left the metal gates wide open. I wonder why they're going to left the metal gates wide open. Supposedly got CCTV. What's happened inside here? Oh look. It's a bit miserable, isn't it? Obviously. They've left the metal gates wide open. Oh look, armoured doors on the actual place. Look, it's got armoured actual roller shutter doors, followed by metal bars. There's a padlock on this as well. Where does that go to? It's got a sterling chrome stainless steel padlock on. So how do they manage to get into the studio and walk out? They have to get in and out though, don't they? Is this the entry and exit door? How do they manage to open the door? Where's the signage on the building? There's no signage on the building, is there? Oh look, this is very interesting, isn't it? When the door opens, how do they manage to open the door? Look, it's got now operated by Jigsaw Home. It's now got a rebrand. It's now controlled by Jigsaw Homes from new charter. This is very interesting, isn't it? Oh look, I wonder what happens over here. This is ever so interesting. So who lives here? That's where it's all operating from here, look. These are the vehicles around the car park here. So I wonder how many vehicles they've actually got. These are the actual vehicles here. They've got a Volkswagen and a Kia car, followed by the graphics all over the car. They've got Facebook, YouTube, they've got Twitter, YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, followed by a phone number here, followed by the frequency of the station. I wonder what this is supposed to be. A website, so they can't afford to buy their own cars. They have to be given a car by somebody else. And it's supposedly controlled by new charter, now Jigsaw and Tameside Council. So the radio station is now controlled by Jigsaw Housing and Tameside Council. So I wonder what kind of programmes they send out. Certainly not going to explain anything though, is it? Have a look at this. They've got blacked out windows as well afterwards. Look at all this, look at this. So what exactly operates from here is the actual controlling concern of, it's all layered kind of media concerns though, isn't it? So the output is delivered from the Oldham Reporter, the Glossop Chronicle, the Tameside Reporter, followed by Tameside Radio. So that's the actual output of all this concern. So as you can see, look inside the actual area space. So how do they get in? You have to put a key in the door, don't they, to get in. Followed by, what's that supposed to be? So they've got to sign in and sign out. Followed by metal kind of columns, followed by some kind of metal piping. Followed by a fire alarm panel. So this area space is somewhat tiny, yet Micheal Barker said it's actually built near a rubbish dump. It's established near a rubbish dump. Well, the other side of it is actually a rubbish area space though, isn't it? So why were those two staff actually walking through a rubbish dump door? I wonder what's inside here. This is actually a waiting room here, look. A waiting room where they have to sit and be interviewed afterwards, followed by previous black and white pictures. Well, it's supposedly loads of awards. What's this supposed to be? That's the office space though, isn't it? That's the office space with the light switched on, look. Followed by another room with a light switched on. So nobody's here now, it's all dark, they've switched the lights off, they've gone home, and they typed the actual news reports from this office space. But just look at the doors, they've got all lockable armoured doors. So they have to sign in and unlock doors to get in and out. It's almost like a slightly armoured prison though, isn't it? Look at the windows, they've got metal windows, the metal windows, look. Vertical. All the windows upstairs, are those residents upstairs or part of this concern? So what's this happens inside here? They've got padlocks and an actual wooden shed door at the side of here. So what's stored inside here? So how do they beam the signal out? Oh, there's a 360 camera system watching me over here, look. It's spinning round slowly, look. Can you see the camera lens spinning round slowly? So it spins round in a 360 direction, they can wave to it afterwards. So it's now spinning from left to right, to left to right, to left to right, to left to right, because it's stupid, isn't it? Obviously, look at the camera lens. That's like a 5 or 7 year old camera system, isn't it? That's worth like 200 quid on eBay though, isn't it? About 150, 200 quid on eBay a lot of years ago though, isn't it? So from the opposite direction it can't see anything. That's just a work of stupidity though, isn't it? They've got air conditioning inside here as well afterwards. Mitsubishi air conditioning, look. You can vaguely see the piping, look. So what else is happening? How do they get the signal out to the actual Harrop Edge? Where's the beam on top of the roof, wasn't it? Because it's high up, isn't it? So they run the cabling out of the actual lift space and then it goes on top of the roof and beams it out afterwards. And then they just about can't manage to explain anything in Tameside. It's all complete stupidity and doesn't explain nothing. Oh look, somebody lived there. That looks like a gilet jaune yellow top, doesn't it? It looks like a gilet jaune protester's top, doesn't it? Like an luminous yellow jacket kind of thing though, doesn't it? I wonder what awards they've actually got. Have they actually won any awards? They've supposedly got awards. This is very interesting, isn't it? So it says on here, the Pride of Tameside Business Awards 2018 winner, followed by the Pride of Tameside 2017 award winner. Oh look, and they've got some stainless steel cups as well. That's even damaged, isn't it? Look at that there. It's not, it needs repairing, doesn't it? And some numbers not, and some not. It's actually made out of plastic, isn't it? That doesn't look like proper metal, does it? And they've even got some cards over here as well. Look at that on the book. Because that, don't tell me that's a really old book about the workhouses. So they've got less presenters, less radio presenters now. And just ridiculous stupidity. Spend a load of money on total ridiculous stupidity that doesn't explain anything. So they can't report the psychiatric ward issues, they can't report the evictions, they can't report the police damage. What else? They can't report the lives degradation with complete specifics caused by police, psychiatry and social services. I mean, what else? It just goes on and on. It's hidden station though, isn't it? A hidden newspaper and hidden radio station that actually explains totally nothing. Controlled supposedly, explained by the Tameside protest group, by supposedly new charter now controlled by Jigsaw and also controlled by Tameside Council. So who exactly pays the money for it? Who pays the money for it is Jigsaw Housing, followed by Tameside Council. So the money givers for the concern who decide the output, who pay the money, are Jigsaw Housing, followed by Tameside Council. That's where the actual Tameside protest group explain who pays the money for it. So it's not a free radio station, is it? It's controlled though, isn't it? It's controlled propaganda, isn't it? It's operated by money-paying controlled propaganda that actually explains totally nothing. What else I can find? So they've actually gone through the prison doors to get in. Which prison door do they actually get from? How do they manage to lock the padlock upon the prison door? Well, they can't get through these rolling shutters. How do they actually walk through these doors? How do they manage to get in? What's happened over here? That's just bricked up, isn't it? A bit of a light over there, like a tunnel, isn't it? This is a really old building, isn't it? This is really old brickwork painted, followed by a breeze block, followed by a fire alarm on the ceiling for no reason, followed by conduit, followed by decaying brickwork, followed by other brickwork that's decaying, followed by armoured doors on the place, like a prison door. That's actually like a prison armoured door, isn't it? So how do they manage to get in? So they're supposedly getting through this door here. So if they get in through this door, that'll be difficult to refasten the padlock. So Micheal Barker, the patient on the Saxon ward, explains that the radio station is operated from a rubbish dump. So as you can see here, that contains salt, and that's a blue recycled rubbish bin. And then if you look over here, a bit of a difficult, small green dustbins or blue dustbins over the other side of the airy space on the right hand side. So Micheal Barker, the patient on the Saxon ward that suffers human rights violations, explains that Tameside Radio, Tameside Reporter, glossop, chronicle is operated from a rubbish dump. But what are these? These are actually rubbish bins, aren't they? Obviously, these are actually rubbish bins on an armoured prison. So look at the signage here. Look, who controls the building? The building is owned by Jigsaw Housing, and previously it was owned by New Charter. So the radio station doesn't own their own building, it's all owned by Jigsaw Housing, deciding the output, along with the council deciding the outputs. So how do they get through the door? Right, it doesn't show. It could be a wireless key fob. It's looking like they've got through the door with a wireless key fob. There's no locks actually on this door, is there? So the only way they get through that is with a wireless key fob. So they built the place in an armoured prison, because nobody can walk in and speak to them. It's not possible. So if you notice the issues here, look, the signage, it's supposedly CCTV in operation, followed by the website www.jigsawhomes.org.uk. so the extension .org.uk is a charitable extension. That's supposed to be a charitable domain. So I wonder if people have been... So the protest group are outside the job centre and they're saying that people have been evicted from the homes because the council decides not to pay the housing benefit and pay for the rent on the home address. and that's supposedly a charitable website, a charitable concern, because .org.uk is a charitable website extension, and it should be www.jigsaw-homes.org.uk. And the buildings are former actual council housing stock on peanut buildings. This is a former peanut building. This building a lot of years ago must have cost peanuts. It's now been taken over with a bit of fine tuning by other concerns. It's actually a peanut building. A lot of years ago that's been paid for over and over and over by people continually paying the rent. So it's like paying for something time and time again when it's already been paid for a lot of years ago, and it's just been rebranded to be owned control by another concern. So these people are living in a peanut building that's been paid for years and years ago with just a few slight additional touching up on the building for slight improvements. So this is actually a former cotton mill where the machinery was sometimes dangerous in the past, and people had to travel from the terraced houses to go here and work in a cotton mill a lot of years ago. That's what it actually was. This is a former peanut building where the lives may have been slightly difficult. So children had to work in these buildings a lot of years ago with dangerous machinery that had no protection, and some of them may got killed, some of them may got killed or harmed. That's what used to go on here though, didn't it, obviously? So this is in a former cotton mill building where they had peanut lives, and then if they lost their jobs they were basically evicted and possibly died on the streets with no records afterwards. So if they weren't employed in these buildings, they couldn't afford to pay the rent on the home address, or if the home address was then connected to the workplace and owned by the workplace, the home address, and the employer didn't like them or wanted to sack them for whatever reason, they'd then be destitute on the streets trying to find themselves somewhere else to live. So some of those people may have died on the streets in totally chronic situations with obviously no reports, because the local newspapers at the time wouldn't have reported those issues. That's just about it though, isn't it, obviously? It's like a miserable picture just painted slightly just to make it look slightly better, when it's not exactly slightly better, is it? In some situations it's slightly worse, isn't it? So the only way they're going to get the signal out of this place is on top of the roof space and then beaming it out to Harrop Edge afterwards. And then if you look at the actual positioning of the banner on top of the side of the actual metal prison railings, they've actually got to position the banner that's not even horizontal. So this is what the media output actually is. So if you read the words here, that's what media can control. Look, Tameside Reporter, Glossop Chronicle, what else? Followed by Tameside Radio, with the rebranding concern of Quest Media Network, followed by a syndicate. And it's Tameside Protest Group explaining it's paid for from Tameside Council and Jigsaw Housing and pay for it.